Hey guys, how you doing? It's 7 o'clock. All right, so we're live. Welcome to the stream. Hope everything is cool. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to send out the newsletter announcing the stream. What are you gonna do? Let me know if you hear me well, you see me well, everything's clear. Then I'll jump into the subject and then we'll do a little Q&A as usual. Yeah, thanks for joining. As promised, cheers, a little wine. COVID Saturday night. Yeah. Hey, how are you doing, man? How's Scotty doing? Scotty's doing good. Yeah. So, any news? So, it looks like with the rollout of the vaccines, things are starting to open up a little, so that's kind of cool. First time from France. Hey, Michael. Thanks for joining the stream. Nice to meet you, dude. Bonsoir, Monsieur de Michel. Good evening, Osama. I hope everything is well with you. Yeah, so I just gotta wait for enough people to get on, then I'm gonna jump into it. Good evening from England. Very cool. Hey, man, how you doing, Andreas? Good to see you too. Yeah, well, virtually anyway. Yeah, so as promised, I'm having a little wine again. I'm not a drinker, but Mr. Hologram, how are you? ¿Qué pasa, señor Nunchunku? No wine, just tequila here. All right, Nick, cool. Whatever you want to drink, wine, tequila, beer, coffee, tea, it's all good, man. Bonsoir, Michel. J'espère que tout ça va bien avec toi. The weather has been cloudy in Denmark. How is the weather this time of year in Denmark? Is it very cold? It's probably quite warm relative to Montreal, I would imagine. Johnny Bravo from Virginia is here. That's cool. Yeah. PHP still dominates. Yeah. You know what doesn't dominate? That's Ruby. Ruby doesn't dominate, that's for sure. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll wait a few more minutes, a couple minutes, and now I'm going to just jump into the subject. I found something interesting. Hello, Hamza. Thanks for joining the stream. Love from Canada. Thanks for showing up. And then I'll do a little Q&A, usual. Stout. Very cool. Very cool. It's good stuff. Yeah, I'm a big IPA fan, but tonight I decided to try that Shiraz again, so it's not bad. Yeah. So, cheers. Assembly for life. Good tidings, my friend from Brooklyn, New York. Oh, neighbor just down south, Carter. Thanks for joining the stream. Hello, everybody from Brazil. All right, Rodrigo from Brazil. Fantastic. International audience. That's what's always cool about this, from all over the world. Hello from Puerto Rico. No wine, just some munchies instead. Very cool. Stef, do I look like Zayn Malik? I don't know. I have heard, I have a hard time seeing where Java can be better than other languages. Hello from Milan. IP is great. Yeah. Rust will win. Yeah. So we got people coming on. Notifications are a little slacky in YouTube. A little slow. I was meaning to send out a newsletter to let people know about the stream. It just totally slipped my mind. Pew. What are you going to do? WebAssembly is a thing I want to learn. Well, that's cool. Good evening from rainy but cool Sunrise, Florida. Sunrise, Florida. Yeah, I'm jealous of you Floridians. That's for sure. Laugh out loud. I've been doing JSP and servlets. Wow, stuff for my Java class. Not sure how long I can stand it. Wow, JSP servlets. Wow. I remember when JSP servlets was cutting edge. Wow. Because I'm a nerd, I have an affection for JSP and servlets, which makes no sense, but I do. I want to do some sort of recycling app. I have some experience with Django. Is there some recommended framework to work with maps and real-time data, sort of like an Uber? Thanks from Argentina. I think you could probably get it done with Django. You know, if it starts to really get busy, then you could look at alternative solutions. But I think if you're familiar with it, why not use Django? It's good. Hello from Bulgaria. Hello from Romania. Hello from Morocco. Good vibes. Dominican Republic. I've been there. Mama Wana. I love Mama Wana. Unfortunately, no Mama Wana for me tonight, just Siraj. But yeah. Good stuff, that Mama Wana. Greetings from Maine, one of my favorite places. Scotty, Java is fast. PHP is great. No Perl. 4chan is a clear winner. All right, so I'll tell you, one of my first web apps I ever did for a client, I was actually replacing a Perl-based application, Perl CGI. It was an early social network. I've told the story in the past. Interrupt me if you've heard this story. So early on, they came up to me and they had spent about a year developing this early version of a social network. And it was then all Perl CGI. This is like early 2000s, like 2001, 2000, maybe 1999, 98, I forget now. It's been such a long time. Anyhow, so it was a Perl-based application, and they just couldn't get it to work after a year. This company had hired an outside firm. The outside firm couldn't get it to work. So they, in desperation and exasperation, they called me up as a hired guy and say, hey, listen, we have this, I spoke to the owner and the owner's son, a very wealthy family, and he said to me, okay, we have this application, it's working, we got users, it's getting popular, but we got some major bugs, we can't get it to work. It's can you fix it? A company we're working with now is not able to do it, not willing to do it. So I said, okay, well, let me take a look at the code base. So I took a look at the code base. It was all Perl CGI, flat file databases, Perl CGI. In those days, you didn't have really frameworks and so forth, so it was all custom code, which is like a disaster. And Perl, in of itself, when you're writing, Perl is fine for scripting, but when you're talking about writing big applications, it can be very problematic, especially back in those days. Because Perl is a very terse language, and you can do 10 different things. You can solve a particular problem with Perl in 10 different ways. And one of the old jokes, I forget the verbatim what the joke was, but one of the old jokes in the Perl community was that you'll forget your own code within 6 months, if not 6 weeks. Anyhow, so I looked at the code base. It was unintelligible. I couldn't figure it out. But I looked at the structure. The database was all flat file, custom. Everything was custom. Very difficult to deal with. That's one of the advantages of a framework, by the way. One of the advantages of a framework is that if you know Laravel, you know Django, you know .NET, you can come into an app built with one of these frameworks with a decent idea where things are, because that's one of the point of the frameworks, that everything is organized in a standardized method. So that's cool. Anyway, but this wasn't the case back in the day. I got this Pro app. So I look at it, I go, I'm not going to be able to fix this. It's impossible. It's like the code base is just a disaster. So at the time, I had done a bunch of coding, but I never did server-side coding. This must be early 90s. This must be mid-90s, late 90s. No, it's late 90s. I've done a lot of coding, front-end stuff, but not much back-end stuff. So, and I looked at the Perl, and I said, I can't do it, so I'm going to rewrite it from scratch. A new technology just came out at this point. 96, new technology came out called ASP, Active Server Pages. This is not ASP.NET. It's the precursor ASP, Classic ASP. You wrote this with VB script most of the time. And you got to give it to Microsoft. They innovated. They were the first to come out with the page-based, if you will, development tool set. And that was ASP. They call it ASP Classic. So ASP Classic, and it just was so much more productive. It was an order of magnitude better than Perl CGI coding. So I did my best estimate of how much it would take, how long it would take me to build this thing, having never done back-end database work before. And so I go in there and I give a quote, and they accepted the number. It was a good number. I said, okay, they gave me the 50% up front. I said, I'll have it done in 30 days. And they were like skeptical. He said, you're going to have this done in 30 days? They said, they've been working on it over a year and they still can't get it to work. You're going to have it done in 30 days? I said, I'll have it done in 30 days. Come, don't worry. So right from that meeting, I got this check and I drove right to the bookstore, because it was way before online education. So I go right to the bookstore and I grab books on ASP, database design, et cetera, et cetera. So I sit down, I said, I'm gonna make this thing happen within 30 days. I want the money, and also I'm getting paid to learn here. So I sat down, and I figured I could do it quicker because based on my examination of ASP, I thought it was hyper productive relative to traditional CGI development. It was one of those rare occasions where the new technology was so much better than the old. So I proceeded to build an application, and sure enough, within 30 days, I got it done and working fine. Not so much I'm a great coder, but just because that technology was so much better than Perl. So that's not the end of the story. The end of the story is that, so I built the application anew from scratch with a brand new technology, new paradigm altogether. And the company who did the previous version of the app, they decided that they're going to sue my client. They said, well, you just stole our code base and expanded upon that. So I said, so the court case ensued, et cetera, et cetera. So I was brought in. I said, no, I did not expand upon their code base. I rewrote the whole thing from scratch with a whole different technology, not Perl, VB script and ASP Classic, well, it was ASP at the time. Anyway, so whatever. So they were going to court, going to trial. So they had a hotshot lawyer. And so I went into the law firms, and they were asking me a bunch of questions. I was going to testify since I'm the guy who wrote the new version of the software. Anyway, long story short, so they're going through it, asking me all these questions. They say, okay, where were you trained? I said, well, Concordia. I said, well, okay, so when did you graduate? And I said, well, I left my degree before I graduated. Oh, okay, so how many years did you do in computer science or engineering? I said, no, psychology. So the lawyer looked at me, psychology. So we can't use you in the court case. I said, why can't you use me in the court case? He says, well, you're not an expert. I said, I'm not an expert. I said, I wrote the software. I said, nah, but you're not an expert. You got to have a degree to be an expert to be able to testify. And I said, I wrote the software. No, you're not an expert. So long story short, back in those days, and I think things have changed today quite a bit, but back in those days, because of tradition and all this kind of BS, even though I wrote I wrote the software myself from scratch. I engineered it. Because I didn't have the piece of paper of a degree, they couldn't put me on stand. They felt, anyway, that lawyer felt, they couldn't put me on stand as a expert witness because I didn't have the degree, even though I actually wrote the software. Talk about crazy, eh? So that's how it was back in the day. So what happened? I was not involved in the case going forward. And eventually, after spending a lot of money, they settled out of court, but that I think that it's been a long time, but I think that effectively killed the application. So there's the story. I hope you found that interesting. Yeah. So I've written some Perl, but just little scripts. Perl is fine for a little scripting here and there. People have written some pretty robust applications in Perl. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't be using it these days. Do you prefer to work on back end or front end? If I had to choose between one or the other, for me, it's backend. Greetings from Spain. Hello from Ohio, Frostbite. Your channel and Treasury Menu are really inspiring. Thanks, man. I'm glad I could help. Thank you. C++ versus Java or Python, we all know the real winner is Ruby. So let me just jump into that now that I told my story. And it's just something I picked up on Quora again. I thought it would be interesting to look at. And then we'll get back to the Q&A. It'll be pretty quick here. So here's the piece I found. So here's the title here. Hold on. C++ versus Java versus Python, who will win? So this guy makes a little joke here. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Python is the alpha predator. The species plays host to the world's largest snakes, including the world's largest snake. Anyway, whatever. So he makes a little joke, and then he gets into it. So, okay. I measure which language is used by a few factors. Do you enjoy using it? This is a personal preference. It all depends on what you like. Mainly a preference in how it's designed and its typing style, static or strong. Number two, do you have a use for it? Most of us have different masters, whether it's a boss, a teacher, a customer. I wouldn't agree with a professor on what language to build an assignment in, or tell my boss I wouldn't argue, excuse me, I wouldn't argue with a professor on what language to build my assignment in or tell my boss I'm not coding in Java today because I like using Python more. It's not how it works in the real world. Exactly, I've talked about this many times. Is it the best tool for the job? Personal projects are pretty much always up to you. That's when I weigh which language are good on what. C++, game development, Java, Android, Python. Java, Android. But nowadays I would go Kotlin for Android. Why? Because Google prefers Kotlin. Python for scripting, and you can add in AI and server scripting. These are just a few of the examples of what I feel works best for each activity. Basically, there is no best language, so I know right away this guy's an experienced developer, especially between these three. It's like asking what's better, a hammer, a screwdriver, a saw. It depends on the job you're trying to do. Good luck, happy coding. So I wanted 178 views, a lot of comments, so let's see what some of the comments are. I think I want to see a fight now. Okay, let's go down for a series. I agree, there's no best or worst. They are all just useful in some cases. I think my tools, language frameworks, like having many slaves when I'm, okay, that's a bad analogy. So go on. They're tools. They're just tools in your tool belt. Cut your woods with screwdriver, hit your nails in the head with the handle of a saw, and use the sharp back of the hammer for screwing your screws in place. Problem solved. What's so difficult? All right, so I just wanted to convey, okay, let's see what this guy has to say. Counter viewpoint is always useful. First and third are debatable. Yeah, for scripting, you can use Python as it takes less number of lines of code compared to C++ and Java. But for backend, where most performance is necessary, C++ is default choice, as it is nearly almost close to assembly in terms of speed, but with fewer lines. Also, Android is based on C. Since Java runs on a virtual machine, it can run on every system, so it is preferred for app development as opposed to C++. Okay, I don't like this. I don't agree with that. So anyway, I think the main messages I want to point out here is my main messages. Do you like it? Do you have a use for it? And is it the best for the job? And you have to also consider business considerations as well. So yeah, let's see if there's any other useful comments in this one. I'm reading this for the first time. C++ is the simplest of all three of the three ones. That is what I'm accustomed to for. Java doesn't let me concentrate one matter at a time. In addition, Java reserved object namespaces, packages, and implemented classes are a puzzle for me. On the contrary, C++ H files are so simple to read and write that never in my life would I change them for anything. Yeah, everybody's got an opinion. Yeah, so there you go. Depends what you're doing. I think that's the long and short of it. I hope you found that interesting a little bit. That's a consistent message, by the way. If you're new to my channel, that's my consistent message I'm trying to teach here. That there's no best language. Depends on what you're doing. Depends on job opportunities, and it depends on personal preference. Another thing that you see I'll point out over and over and over again, the most popular languages are all like very old, well-established languages. It's Python, JavaScript, Java, C#, C++, PHP. These are all 25 and 30 and 40-year-old languages, you know. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So let's see what other questions we got here going. Golang is something I want to learn, but it will take some time. Well, that's cool. If you like it. Really liked your courses. I attended them in 2019. Cool. Glad, Rodrigo, you got use out of them. You should check out my my new courses. Check out Crypto Build. Okay. All right. What else we got here? Are there security advantage of building with frameworks? Yes, there are. Good question. There are definitely security advantages with building with frameworks because the code has been vetted by framework code, has been vetted and worked on by multiple developers. It's been put through the tests. And one of the things they're going to be doing in refining the code base of a framework, one of the things they're going to be doing is working on security. So of course, yeah, your security will be better typically with a framework. So Bailey's wanting us to know, how's everybody doing? Let them know how everybody's doing. Good evening, Shane. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. What looks interesting about Golang? That's a good, yeah. If you're interested in Golang, put it in the comments, and I'll put it up there, and we can talk about why you guys are interested in Golang. I'm curious to know. You use Classic ASP? Yes, I did back in the day. Classic ASP was a game changer. It really was. I made a lot of money with Classic ASP writing apps for people. Always turn down those half-cooked projects in weird languages, especially the abandoned ones. Never touch something else ugly spaghetti code. Yeah, that's the worst thing. Like one of the things, I'm gonna put a sound cue, so I'm gonna do Stef clips. So that's a little videography trick. By doing this, it creates little sound spikes in the wave. So when somebody comes to edit this stream, they'll know that that's the time to edit. Anyway, okay. All right, good question. You're looking at spaghetti code, somebody's old abandoned code. That's why one of the most important skills of a good developer is simple code. Simple code. The best developers in the world write very easy to understand simple code. If you write some complex code, some complex objects or complex architectures that make you feel great, you're not doing your job as a coder. Your job as a coder is try to write the simplest, the easiest to understand code possible, so that when the next coder comes around, or you come around 6 months later or a year later, it'll be easy to figure out what's going on. So yeah, as Javier, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Javier, sorry guy, whatever. This guy wrote a good comment here. Especially abandoned, never touch someone else's ugly spaghetti code. Hopefully you never get to touch it, but a lot of times you're going to have to, you might have to, especially working for large organizations, you're going to have to mess with other people's code. That's where the facade design pattern comes in handy. One of the two things I tell people you should learn, first, after you learn your basics, your fundamentals of code, you learn refactoring, which is cleaning up code in a smart way, and design patterns. So you avoid creating spaghetti code, which is the bane of any coder, any programmer. By spaghetti code is this all messed up code. You avoid that by implementing good design patterns, which are predefined ways of writing code that we've all agreed upon, and refactoring your code as you go. People ask, what's refactoring? Code refactoring? Again, link below. There's a book I highly recommend you buy. There's one for Java, there's one for JavaScript. Key books. Every developer should read these books. The whole process of refactoring is just cleaning up old, messy code. And you refactor your code, not when you've done the whole project, but when you come back maybe once a week, or as you're coding, you come back and you refactor code. It's a continual process of refinement. It's like dusting. It's like organizing your bookshelf. If you're a big fan of Jordan Peterson, he talks about cleaning up your room. It's the same thing. You want to clean up your code room, So I learned C++ in college using Java for a software dev job. Yeah, there you go. That's it. It's all good. C++ is better for real-time, high-performance apps. Python is good for basic stuff. Yeah, I would agree. If you want speed is the issue. Speed is the issue. C++ is the game. If minimal resources in terms of your hardware is the issue, C++ is the game. Every language has its purposes. Like, you're not going to drive a Porsche 911 off-road, right? That's where you get yourself a Jeep. Michel says from France, Stefan has some guts as a beginner. Yeah, well, also, what did he pay me? Back in, I think they paid me 15 grand or something. Or was it 20 grand? This is back in today's dollars, probably worth 30, 40 grand. So when you got a bunch of money coming at you, you work. But I figured I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get paid $10,000, $20,000, whatever it was, I forget now. I'm going to be paid that in a month to learn how to do this stuff. So do it. So I just stayed up and I was like, oh. And I just said to myself, I made the decision. I am going to get this done, and I'm going to get it work no matter what. If I have to stay up all night, I'm going to do it. And it was great. Trial by fire, man. Transistors dominate all. Okay. Got sued for re-implementing an app from scratch. Laugh out loud. Yeah, why didn't? Yeah, they got sued for. Yeah, exactly. It was bogus. Like, they should have brought me to trial. I would said, listen, look at this, totally different code, totally different technology. Yeah, it was an interesting story. The language doesn't matter. Come on, if you guys know Stefan. Exactly. All right, 169 people on board, not bad. If you like this kind of stream, you like me to tell you old war stories about code and whatnot, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Yeah, if, by the way, I'm going to take a little drink. If you have whatever you're drinking, have a little drink, a little break. Thank you, Ran. I appreciate it. That lawyer hat made me mad. Yeah, well, those days, he was an old guy back in the day. He was even older than me back then, so it's like, it's kind of old school thinking. That has gone away real quick, if it's not totally gone away. I taught myself to program C++ when I was 5. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. More stories like that. Okay, yeah, I'll do another one next time. That's crazy. Yeah, you can see, I told this story, like, must be 10 years ago on YouTube. You can catch the 2010 version of the story, which is pretty much the same. Because it is the same. I thought you only drank once every 6 months. Yeah, well, I'm changing my habits. COVID drinking time. So now it's once a week. I don't advise, like, if you're somebody who has an addictive personality, don't drink. Don't get into anything addictive. It's not good. I don't like drinking too often. So for me, it's not alcohol doesn't affect me. Any drugs don't affect me. It's like, I'm not attracted to. For me, it's food. En français, in French, bâtonnette de fromage. That's what I like. The guy, our friend from France there, my new friend from France will understand what that is. Bâtonnette de fromage is Stef crack. Fried cheese bits. That's what I can't stop myself. That's why I don't have it in the car. I don't have it in the house, rather. Stefan, which hosting service do you prefer at the moment? Web apps, AWS, Azure, Heroku, DigitalOcean, etc. I use DigitalOcean for some things, and I use something called Funio, which is a local company, which is a kind of a hybrid. They're a VPS, and they provide all the VPS advantages, instant scalability, auto backups, and et cetera. But they're fully managed, so I don't have to go in there and install and configure packages. They take care of that for me. So I want a new update to this, they do it. I want a new update to that, to do that. They apply the patches. I don't believe in the recent notion that web developers should be server administrators. Web developers should be developers, and server administrators should be server administrators. So that's how I look at it. Python, Perl, Ruby, and PHP are just scripting languages. Yeah, but they built Twitter with Ruby, and they built Facebook with PHP, and they built, I think YouTube is still Python. So they're very capable. The distinction between the scripting languages in terms of their application and their broader application versus a compiled language like a C++ or C, etc., those distinctions have blurred quite a bit over the years. In the old days, scripting languages were used, strictly in server context or within apps to automate certain processes within another app. And full-blown programming languages were like C, C++. But when Java came out, where it's compiled, but it compiles down to an intermediate language, the IL, it kind of blurred that distinction. And as hardware became more and more powerful, the difference, again, that blurred the distinction, the difference between the scripting languages versus the compiled languages. That's a pretty good little bit here. I'll clap that one. All right. Stefan Julio says, Node.js or Python for enterprise applications. They both can do it. I think for a lot of enterprise, you're probably going to end up in C#.NET and Java. Just it's the nature of those industries. How to get good at C++ if you are low IQ? Just keep writing code, dude. As I said, and I teach, whether it takes you a month to learn JavaScript or 4 months, or 2 months, or 6 months. Once you know it, you know it, so it doesn't really matter. Don't worry about that. Just work a little bit every day and you'll get there. Python wins, laugh aloud. Hey, Matthew. Matthew's he's the Django guy here. Hello, Stefan. Hello, Sama. I hope everything is good. React or Angular? Generally speaking, you probably got more opportunity with React. It's 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m. in my time zone. I'm glad I'm finally in one of your lives. Well, thanks for Mr. Turkey Safwen. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, my apologies. Thanks for joining the stream. It's cool. I love. One of the things that always freaks me out is that we have streams. In the streams, right, we have people from all over the world watching. As a 169-year-old nerd, that still freaks me out. A lot of practice and discipline, exactly. What you want to do is, I'm drunk too. What you want to do when you're learning anything, or you're building a business, or you're building software, you want to make the process the goal, not the end goal the goal. Ultimately, the end goal is the goal, but the way you motivate yourself is make the daily execution on the process the goal. This way you get a little emotional reward every day. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little shameless plug, actually. You know what? I'll do a little shameless plug. You'll learn that if you do my Lizard Wizard course. Master your lizard brain and master your life. So this teaches you about how your feelings work, how your brain works. It's going to teach you how to learn more quickly. You're going to learn lizard dating techniques, lizard pickup, as you know. So there's my shameless self-promotion. I won't linger on that. There you go. Let's go back to the questions. Just start programming. That's the best advice, Bailey. Yeah, exactly. Stefan's speech is usually pick the language best suited for the job. Please, guys, no trolling. Exactly. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Michel. After the story, we should call El Cajon de Mucho. Call you El Cajon de Mucho. I think that's something about my balls, right? Yeah. You people don't listen. Just keep practicing, keep writing code, build projects, and you'll get better. Computer graphics equals 100% C++. What did I do? Sorry if I was rude. No, you weren't rude. Don't worry about it. You're good. Everything's cool. You're good. Everything's good. No problem. Low-level projects, C++, automated stuff, Python. Yeah. JavaScript is cool. A lot of business apps, of course, web apps, business logic stuff. JavaScript has got its place. JavaScript's one of the most popular languages. It's either number 2 or number 1 or number 3 in the world, so you can't go wrong with that. The market wants us to learn everything. No, HR departments will tell you that. You just look at the job opportunities and you start working your way through that. Guys and gals, why are you so concerned with the language? Yeah, it's because they hear, that's why people are concerned about the languages, because they hear all these YouTubers and other people say, oh, this is the best, you got to learn this, and this is crap. And it's just people expressing their opinions. Like some people will say, oh, iPhones are the best, and Android sucks, and the Android people will say the opposite. The only thing that's true is that you shouldn't be writing Ruby code. Other than that, everything is fantastic. That's for the old crew. All right, how are we doing here? All right, 33 minutes, boy. Time flies. Let's see what Joseph has to say. I'm learning JavaScript. Worth it? Yes, it's very much worth it. That's the word on the street. Learn JavaScript, learn Python, learn C, learn Java, learn C#. It's all worth it, man. Hey, Stef from Argentina. Hey, welcome to the stream, Mr. Filippo. All right. Laravel versus Spring. For startups, new projects, I would be using non-enterprise. I would definitely be using Laravel because you're going to develop things much more quickly. There's no question about that. There we go. Why do you think some of the best companies use some old school languages? Because they got an invested infrastructure in it. If you think about it, if you're a company, if you spent 10 years and millions of dollars invested in Java, are you going to drop Java because some young nerdling decides they want to use some new technology when you know the Java works and you don't want to introduce all these problems? as a business owner, I'll tell you this, you loathe to introduce new technologies into your ecosystem, because if you introduce a new language, a new technology, you're introducing a new dependency, right? You're going to be dependent now. Not only do I got to maintain all my Java code, I got to maintain all my JavaScript code, for example, or I got to maintain all my Python code. So if you're a huge company that's invested, or even a small company, if you've invested a lot of money and years into a particular tech, you're going to stick with it. And at the end of the day, dudes, the top languages these days, Java, C#, PHP, Python, JavaScript, they're all very old languages. They're just very well established. Hello, the Jones. Well, hello, Stef. Well, hello. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. What about Python? I have not used it, so I have no comment. Python has scope for future. Yeah, see, scripting languages, they were very limited in the past because of hardware limitations. Python takes a lot more RAM and CPU than C, C++, or Java. There's no question about that, or even PHP. And that was an issue 10 years, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Today, it's much less of an issue because hardware is so bloody fast. So the speed advantage that you would get in C++, which is huge compared to Python. C code will run circles around Python and so many other languages. But hardware is so great, so fast now, and bandwidth is so big now, meaning, internet, you're not going to see it in real time. You're not going to see the speed advantages in most applications. Not all, but most. So a lot of times it's much better. As I said, one of Stef's rules of code is write time speed is more important than runtime speed most of the time. It's because of the hardware issues. That being said, C is still written a lot because there's still a need for speed in many situations. Bailey says, hi, Stef, I am working on this client. She is a bit of a pain. Any tips? Okay. Yeah, so I cover all this. Again, shameless plug. Too much wine. What is it? My freelance course. There we go. My freelance course teaches, it's about project management. So you have to manage the expectations of your client. And you do that by having clear, defined documentation and emails with regards to what you are going to deliver when, and so it's, everybody understands this, so you can refer to this. If you leave agreements to only verbal or very terse, very short, not very detailed descriptions, that leaves a lot of room for interpretation, which is the worst thing possible. So when you're dealing with clients who are giving you trouble, it's usually because you have an expectation that was in your mind, and she had an expectation that was in her mind. And so you moved forward with two different interpretations of reality. So what you have to do is you have to sit down and negotiate calmly and in good faith and try to put things down in writing with clear, defined, so that the expectations are aligned, in terms of what people expect. It's a bit of a work, but a big thing that goes into whether or not a project is successful is whether or not you do this up front. So that's my advice to you there. I got my money on Java. Yeah, Java's not going anywhere. Yeah. What would you say to someone who picked up COBOL development in 2021? I'm going to say that there's probably a lot of jobs for you. Stef, hope all is well. Luke says, yeah, thanks. Everything's pretty cool. I can't complain. Everything's pretty cool. I can't complain. Thanks for joining the stream, and I hope everything is well with every one of you guys too. The good thing is that this whole COVID thing, I think, is we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which is good. Thumbs up on the stream, everyone. Johnny Bravo says. You gotta listen to Johnny Bravo. Spring is great, but confusing if you haven't seen it before, like Lombok. I don't know what Lombok is, so I'm sorry about that. But Bailey's cream and beige. I'm old, Greg. Hey, Alex Lopez says, hi, Steph. Hi, Kenny. Hey. Golang, I guess, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, exactly. There we go. We got to have language tolerance, everybody. It's all good. Depends what you want to do. Python has scope for the future. Yeah, we saw that before. Let's see what Woke Archive says. A lot of people are learning Rust since Rust and C++ are both low-level language. Which one should you learn? It's based on the jobs, man. What are the jobs? You know, Rust. I talked about this in the live stream. A good friend of mine is a very experienced C++ coder, and he doesn't like writing C++, and he does it all the time because he has to. But he said if he would do anything ever new, it would be with Rust. So he much prefers Rust. But if there's no jobs in your area, you know, it's a little bit difficult, you know. Again, try to let the job opportunities dictate where you flow, you know. So there's a bit of a conversation here. Well, my dog, see, Bailey, 100%, 2 thumbs up for Bailey. That's a good comment. Stefan Mischug, Node.js or Python Django for enterprise application, counting, CRP, ERP, like again, they're both will be able to do it, but it depends on what the infrastructure is at the existing company. If you're doing from scratch, I would lean Node JavaScript if you're doing from scratch. No one saw that sketch, laugh out loud. Is Python for web dev a good option for freelancing working remotely? Yeah, it's a pretty good option, but I think you probably get more work with JavaScript, and I'm certain you get more work as a freelancer with PHP. Spaghetti code, go waya. Simplest is a sign of better engineering. Exactly. Simple is hard, complex is easy in terms of writing code and so many other things. Steph, you've had a few, laugh aloud. That doesn't take much for me to lose it. I'm a cheap date, as they say. So I've had like two glasses of wine. That's it. I'm already like, whew. You know, 169 years old. We can't hold the alcohol like we used to. Kenny prefers lasagna code. No one talk about .NET. Yeah, .NET is very cool. It's a very cool framework. I actually, years ago when .NET was in beta, I took a Java app that I written in Java JSP servlets, POJOs, and I said, okay, let's see how the implementation would be with .NET. And I did it. It was cool. Some areas .NET was better than Java at the time, and some areas Java was better than .NET. So at the end of the day, I think they're both very good solutions. It really depends on your personal preference, whether or not you want to interface with other Microsoft products, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. A lot of work I did as a kid, high school, was just rewriting and refactoring spaghetti code. There you go. That will make you a good coder, man. PHP will win even if it's not in the conversation. Now, PHP is still huge, man. It's still super popular. It's always in the top 5, top 7 languages out there. C++ is great for performance, but the lack in pre-made functionality makes you reinvent the wheel every time, which is cool for learning stuff, but sometimes you need other languages and libraries for simp. Yeah, but I think that there's a big ecosystem in terms of C++. As far as I know, I'm not a C++ coder. Ironically, my biggest video with over 1.2 million views is on C++. Is learning refactoring and design patterns from videos less effective than learning from books? Depends on the quality of the teacher at the end of the day. You just have to learn, I would say, the top 5, 10 refactorings. Learn the top 5, 10 design patterns, if that much. Even in my career as a coder, when I was writing a lot of code, I would just use very few design patterns. I would use MVC all the time. I would use decorators all the time, facade all the time. And my favorite, of course, was, I called it filters. servlet filters, there's dependency injection. Those are the design patterns I would use all the time. There's other ones. I think iterator is a design pattern. It's kind of built into the languages. But so there's a lot of what you got to be careful when a technology comes out. People will start coming up with all these. Like, I remember when design patterns became a thing. People would come up with all these books on design patterns, and you started inventing design patterns, and it got stupid. Too many design patterns. There's just a handful that you're going to use over and over again, and they're very effective. Same thing with refactorings. There's different types of refactorings you can do, where you're able to identify problems in code, and then you just so that's why I would suggest those 2 books I have listed under this video. You read those, you're going to level up your game like you wouldn't believe. You're going to be a master in no time. Elite Culture says, how are we doing here? Python seems to be the best for indie devs to get an MVP. Yep, fast to code with. I am making cross-plat KiwiMD apps with Django backend website. Going to try Chondroitin for speed boost. There you go. Yeah, any of the scripting languages is going to be effective, whether it be Python, whether it be JavaScript, whether it be PHP. I'll stop with my Ruby joke right now. A little pause on the Ruby joke for a second. Even Ruby, you know. So, of course, now I'm going to unpause the Ruby joke, except for Ruby. You never want to use Ruby for anything. All right. Who wins Delphi? Laugh out loud. Yeah. I'll tell you another story. So I remember years ago, it's a Delphi story. It's in the 90s. And VB had taken over the desktop app development space, which was huge because Microsoft had 90% of the market. Everything was VB. It was very powerful, very fast for client development. And he loved, this friend of mine, he loved Delphi. And he would argue, and it could be the case, I never really used it. I looked at Delphi code. It was cool code, by the way, but he argued Delphi is so much better than VB, and everybody should be using Delphi, and I hate VB, and Delphi is so much better. Oh my God, Delphi is so much better. Nobody used Delphi. It was, a small amount. This many VB users and this many Python Delphi apps. So it's not, you got to let the market help you, guide you in terms of your choices. Nerds like to think in terms of just technology and their preferences, but you also have to always weigh it against the market demands. How long would you guys say someone needs to study JavaScript before applying? I know it's subjective and completely determines on how long someone studies or gets it down, but what do you think? I can tell you that I've had people start from scratch, knowing nothing with my web developer course and get a job within 2 months. I don't know, they had no background before, they worked hard at it, but they were able to land a job. And they even beat out people with comp sci degrees. Just check out my reviews, you see the guy writes about it. I'm going to do another, not really a promotion, it's kind of a promotion, but so my friend is putting together this program called the Body Developer. I'm involved with it, so it's free. We're looking for people to basically sign up to the newsletter at thebodydeveloper.com, totally free. And we basically designed a program for people who sit at their desk all day. And without having to exercise, you can lose a ton of weight, which will help you think better, think faster. You'll feel better. If you have back pains, it'll help with your back pains, everything. So this guy was 300 pounds, diabetic, and through the program that we've put together here, and he is refining now, coaching people now for free. He lost 100 pounds, and he's held it off for 5 years, and without having to work out like a dog, or hardly at all, actually. So if you're interested in this, getting free coaching, just go to bodydeveloper.com to sign up to the newsletter and contact this guy Oren here, and he'll teach you everything for free. So I invite you to take a look at that. There's enough of that. Let's answer some more questions. Reading books for coding is always more efficient for learning than videos. Well, for me, People ask me, I have my foundation courses. You come out of that, it's like teaching you how to music. You learn scales, progress. You learn everything so you can learn anything on your own. Then after that, I say, that's why I recommend the books on refactoring and design patterns. And you're ready to go. Do the foundations, do a couple little project courses, do a couple freelance gigs, get those 2 books, implement the lessons in there, start doing work. That's how you're going to get there fast. Hello from Barbados, Mr. Redhawk16. Welcome to the stream, dude. Barbados, I've been there. Really nice place. Wow, best beaches. If you have a HTTP call in your code, C++ will speed that up. Not? I don't know. I wouldn't know about that. Probably not. I think you're still limited to limitations of the network there. You need to understand that a good programmer will write faster Python code than a bad programmer C++ code. That's also a factor to a certain extent. There's no question about that. What the Python people will do, like for example, in the AI space, they'll write the kernel of the AI engine in C++ for the speed, but that's like 5% of the code, and then they'll write everything else in Python so that they can get stuff done quickly. All right. JavaScript, of course. Yeah. Fortran 77 was my first. Very cool. Coffee is the best. Yeah, coffee will help you suppress appetite and improve your cognitive capabilities. I need a coffee now. So I just got a message that the stream quality may suffer. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I guess the networks are being... I want to listen to something about artificial intelligence. All right, I'll give you a little information. So I have friends who have artificial intelligence businesses, if you will. So artificial intelligence today, lots of opportunity. It's still in its early days. It reminds me of the web in 1994. I think its progression will be slower than the web because it's more challenging as a tech. But it's now being implemented in commerce, in business, as assistive technologies. So they're not replacing, but they're more assisting. So for example, I like to use this camera here. Notice how my hand is all blurry? Because this camera now is using AI to track my face. So when I do this, I'm not blurry. It keeps me in focus. This is AI. It uses face tracking technology. And this was not possible 5 years ago. So it's assisting the camera operations. A friend of mine has a company where they're growing like fast. They're a rocket ship. He's supposed to come on, one of the founders. Their company is going to have like 1,000 employees soon. He's one of the original Studioweb students. Anyhow, and they use AI to route student requests to tutors in real time, super fast. That's what they're using. Another friend who has an AI that they use, I really can't say what they do with it, but they use it to assist their processes. So AI is there, man. It's there. It's not replacing so much. It's assisting. It's a good field to get into. It's early days, so there's a lot of opportunity in AI. There's no question. There's a lot of opportunity everywhere. Coffee is best. Okay, here we go. C++ is closest to machine language from the gamma of HL languages. EHAT makes it more efficient in all cases. That's probably true. Please tell Golang future and its importance. Well, I think Golang is a niche language. I don't think it will ever be like a Python or a JavaScript or a PHP in terms of popularity. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere per se. But it's a niche language. If you like it and you see opportunity, good. Use it. Learn it. Oh, by the way, if you like the stream, please give me a thumbs up. It helps out with the algorithms, and I appreciate that. Where is he getting these questions from? I'm getting it from the chat. Do you see it appearing on the screen? I just made it appear. So, right, your question here. I only drink once a day. Yeah. When I drink is usually in the summertime, and it's once a week. Last time I drank was with you guys last time. That's like, I guess, a week ago. C# and .NET is all you need. Yeah, it's very powerful. Mr. Hamed says, are you still programming? No. I manage my SaaS. I once every blue moon will do code review, but I got really good developers, so I don't really need to do it. I'm 169 years old, 169. So as a result, I don't do programming anymore. That being said, I still know people who are still programming in their 50s and older, so you can do programming. I had a super chat for somebody. I appreciate that. All right, we'll read that. Are you still programming? I hate that old mindset. If the mindset is still the norm, I would never have gone a job programming. Okay, so I have a super chat I should read. I appreciate the super chat. C++ and HTTP, I was just sarcastic about the claims that C is fast, but once you have code that is dependent on external data, C will not speed that up. So there you go. Very probable. Yeah. It's especially, ciao, Richard. I don't know if that means you're coming in or leaving. Hi, Mister. Will you get fired if your boss sees you drinking? That happened to me. I won't get fired because I'm the boss. I'm looking at myself and I'm saying to myself, should I fire myself? And I'm saying, no, I'm not going to fire myself. He's just an old bum pretending to be a dev. All right, there you go. That's very nice. Where were you? What year were you born? I can't say. It's such a long time ago, I forget. Cheers, Stef. Been learning a lot from your web dev course so far. Fantastic. I'm glad you like it. I appreciate that. Now that gives me an opportunity to shamelessly self-promote my newsletter. So I will not spam you with my newsletter because I don't send them out very often. But you go to needtonerd.com and needtonerd.com. There's a link below. Sign up to my newsletter and I'll have custom content and so forth. I just want to be in direct contact with everybody. So there you go. Bon appétit, Chef Stef. Merci beaucoup. Bon appétit à toi. Let's see what this guy has to say here. How are we doing for time? Oh, almost an hour. Time flies. I am 23, working my first job as a front-end developer. Congratulations. The company has many architectural problems and project management is a disaster. I enjoy developing, but I'm unhappy. It's 8 months too early to leave. Start looking around now. And maybe make your exit after a year. So on your resume, it says I stayed a year. You know what I mean? Don't burn your bridges. Don't insult them. Maybe bring up some of your concerns with respect so you have a good reputation. So I would try, you're almost a year, so I would try to get that year in. How to recreate translation validation system like in Duolingo. How to recreate translation validation system. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Duolingo, so I couldn't say. Rust is interesting, not as mature as cross-platform as C++. Well, obviously, C++ has been around since the time of the dinosaurs. However, it makes leveraging multiple cores easier and target WASM. Have not done a project in it yet, though. Oh, there you go. What do you think? I think Laravel is dope, to use a parlance of the day. I think Laravel is very, very good. If I was like Studioweb, my SaaS is written in Laravel. It's Laravel. We've been using it for years. It's an enterprise level framework. It's what's the word to use today, the youngins? It's fire. All right. I got fired for sleeping. Thank goodness I kept my client. I just wanted to see what the job was like. Oh, there you go. Well, that's good. You didn't like the job, so you fell asleep. That's okay. Entonces mi loco. I don't know what that means, but thanks for all the great value you constantly construct. Hey, no problem, Seth. I appreciate you being on the stream. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for showing up on the streams. I do this because it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I started this whole YouTube thing just as a way to practice speaking in front of the camera and as a hobby. And it just grew out of that, and here we go, 180,000 subs later. I just enjoy it. So I appreciate you guys showing up on the streams. I appreciate the thumbs up. I appreciate you spreading the word. It's I just enjoy teaching. I am an Italian student at the start of programming school in high school. Congratulations. Any suggestions for programming? We are just doing C, C++, and some Prolog for AI, but very simple stuff. Thanks. Well, just write code, a little code every day. Try to get ahead, and you do well. Good age to start, man. Welcome to the coding world. It's like a superpower. It's like getting an infinity stone if you learn how to code. So that's cool stuff. Why is it so difficult for machine learning to identify a cat over a dog even today? Really, I don't know if that's the case. I had a friend of mine, he came over, and he showed me in real time machine learning where he trained his app to identify plants and chairs in my place. So he showed me, right, so he said, pointed at a plant, said, this is a plant. It scanned it with his phone. He pointed at another plant, there's a plant, scanned it with his phone. And then he pointed at chairs, and then it was able to identify chairs and plants 100% accurately. I don't know, maybe that was a joke. What design patterns book is for JavaScript? Well, design patterns are universal. They're not subject to a language. So you get a design patterns book. It's good for Java, JavaScript, Python, whatever. Even refactoring is universal. The principles are universal. But if you want to see examples in the links below, I have one for Java, one for JavaScript. But it's still universal. The principle is universal. 169 is indeed a long time. It is indeed. It is high from Turkmenistan. Wow, Stefan, JavaScript or Flutter? Oh, well, Flutter is a framework. JavaScript is a language. If you're writing with Flutter, you'll be writing with Dart. Look at job opportunities. Take it from there. You can't go wrong. If you learn JavaScript, you don't find jobs, you can just pivot to Dart, Flutter pretty quickly. Well, welcome to the stream, dude. Max, I don't know if I'm saying this properly, so excuse me if I'm wrong. Maxat Hoyayev? I don't know. That's cool. I think that's you're the first person from Turkmenistan. And my apologies, I've never heard of the place. Big Nest is good if you got a dev job. It can be a pain dealing with HR. There you go. J'ai raté le débat. J'ai raté le débat. Le débat. The debate? Or was that an interview? What you think about Laravel? I said that. I think it's great. People could be going to Studioweb and enjoy the many benefits of the wisdom of the lizard wizard. Yes, lizard wizard, man. Thanks for that opportunity. I'm going to shamelessly. So my developer newsletter here, go to needtonerd.com, sign up, and be sure if you do sign up that you whitelist this email address so you get the emails. Don't worry. You can unsubscribe anytime you like. Lizard Wizard, this is my most recent course I put out. It's on Lizard Wizard. Master your lizard brain, master your life. It's going to teach you how to, I'll get to this table of contents. You learn about your emotions. You learn how the lizard brain affects how you learn, whether you pick up, whether you feel happy or sad. It's one of my favorite courses I ever put out, and people really like it. So here it is, Lizard Wizard, dudes. Very inexpensive. All right, let's go back. All right. Thanks for that plug, dude. Appreciate it. What is good beginner MERN stack project that employers might like to see? Depends on the employer, right? Depends on, are they a firm that builds accounting software? Are they a firm that builds software to help, digital marketers? Depends on the employer. What I would do is, if you know MERN, you're confident enough to build something, I would go out there and just find a project you can do for free in freelance world. That will help you learn. Again, guys, help me with a thumbs up if you like the stream. This guy is smart, especially to be Buzz. I like him. Yeah, sure, I admit it. I don't know if it goes against YouTube policy. I'm a little bit buzzed. So you see, you know, I'm not. I don't drink often because, you know, 1 or 2 glasses and that's it. I'm toast. Is C++ needed in the AI field? No, it's not needed. It'll probably help, I suppose, but you concentrate on Python. Hi, Stef. Is Lisp a good first language to learn? I don't know it, so I couldn't say, but why not? Why not? Hi from Poland. 2 a.m. here. Hey, welcome to the stream. Thanks for showing up. I tried to make it lower. What time is it now? It's 8 p.m. I've been on it over an hour in New York time, Montreal time. If I'm making a website for a local business, do I leave hosting completely to them or just give them the files they need? I'm a wannabe freelancer, by the way. Depends on what you want to do. You should check out my freelancer course on Studioweb, first of all. The freelance course is going to teach you everything you need to know. Where is it? The freelance? Because I get these, and because it's also a big-time project management course. So school.studioweb/store, complete freelancer. It will teach you everything. So that being said, let me revisit that question because I'm a little buzzed, so I forgot what the question was. If I'm making a website for a local business, do I leave hosting completely? No. When you are a freelancer, you have to think of yourself as you're a service provider at the end of the day, right? They may need you to help them set up the hosting. Very likely, especially for new sites. So you do not, unless you want to build a stable of hosting clients, which is a whole business of itself, you do not want to control the hosting. But what you want to do is help them set them up. So what you could do is say, listen, we got to get hosting for your site. And then you find them a hosting company. You tell them which program to buy, which level of hosting. Typically, for 99% of sites you're going to work on, basic hosting will be more than enough. And then you send them the URL to that site, to that particular package, and you tell them to buy it with their credit card, because you don't want to be responsible for that. You don't want to be having to pay for hosting and chase after them, unless that's your goal to start a hosting business. And then what you do is then once they buy it, you tell them, give me your credentials, because when they pay for it, they're going to get an email from the hosting company with all the credentials, where to log in, and the control panel and so forth. Send that to you. And then you, with those credentials, then you upload all the files, you install the site, make sure it's working. And Bob's your uncle. You're ready to go. Okay? That's one route of doing it. Another thing you can do, if you do get more and more clients, if you want to make money in hosting, you contact a hosting company, say, listen, I want to be an affiliate. What do? I want to bring clients to you. What are you going to do for me? And they'll give you some sort of affiliate code, and depending on the hosting company, they may kick you back $50 or they may kick you back $100 if you set up a new client for them. So that's an option for you as well. Do you need strong math skills for AI? If so, I'm out. Depends on the type of AI you're doing. In the research level, yes, but implementation level, no. So it depends. I would do, if I were you, if assuming that you know a little bit of Python, I would explore a little bit of AI then. Just say, go to TensorFlow, which is Google's AI thing, and let's try that out, see how that goes. All right. We're going to wrap this up. It's been over an hour, and yeah, what time is it? 8 o'clock. Do you think that embedded and app development is still good, as in for devices, robots, cars, electric? Yeah, for sure. There's lots of work there. I made a Tinder bot in Python. Oh, there you go. That's cool. For some reason, it makes me laugh. Stefan Mishtuk, the young people would say it's lit, not fire. Really? All right. So it's lit. Thanks for the tips. How about dope? It's dope. That's still used, right? The other problem is they want me to move in a few months, and I don't want to move real far away from my family now. 1 year sounds right, but I'm in a tough spot. Love the channel. Thanks for your advice. Oh, so it's a full-time job. Well, is the job paid really well? Could you find another job that is equivalent to this one in terms of pay or in terms of the type of work in a relatively easily? Is it really a fun job or not? I don't know. Is it a rare opportunity? If it's a rare opportunity, it's high paid. If it's really fun, then you may want to bite the bullet and say, you know, I'm going to travel back, take a flight back home every so often. Depends. You have to answer those questions. How available that job is. Is there other opportunities? Do you need the money? You know what I mean? You can always fly back to meet your parents if any of those things check off. Hi, Stef. Do you have any tips on eliminating tasks? It is very difficult to estimate larger tasks. Yeah. You have to, in my freelance course, I give a project worksheet template, right? I have columns for all the things that you have to typically cover when you're building software for somebody. So when you're first starting out, it's going to be hard for you to estimate how long things are going to take you to build. So one of the things I teach is that you got to set up this template and you got to track your time spent on the phones, time spent architecting, time spent writing code, time spent database design, time sending them emails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the time related to the project. And then in time, you do this a few times where you use a time tracker like this, you'll start developing an ability to assess how long it takes to do things. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, you got to divide your project into tasks. The database design, the UI, the UI refinement stage. How much time am I going to spend dealing with the client, writing emails and writing contracts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you divide. So in terms of the software itself, divide it up into database design, implementing front end, and getting the environment set up, and you start, segment it that way and start writing things out, and hopefully you can get a fairly accurate estimate of what you're doing. This is a skill you just got to develop over time. Best PC laptop for Apple hating nerd. Oh, you know what? I like the Microsoft products. They're not perfect. I like them. I hear Dell is pretty good, but I also hear bad things about Dell. In all honesty, I have a Microsoft Surface Pro 4. I've had it for several years now, and I use it rarely. I'm more or less using Apple these days because of the type of work I do. So maybe look at the Microsoft Surface products, see what the latest reviews are. If the hardware is good for gaming, it's going to be good for coding. So you may want to look at reviews for on YouTube in terms of those type of laptops. Sorry to bother you. I really got fired for drinking a beer on my break, but things happen. Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that, dude. Question, IT tech troubleshooter is a profession. It is, but I would strongly suggest you look more towards coding. I think there's more of a future there. Just, by default, just assume when you're working for people, just assume that certain things you shouldn't do, but whatever. It's not a big deal. You just get another job. Can you suggest some widely used design patterns one should know? I did it earlier in the streams. You look at it like decorator, facade, MVC, dependency injection / filters. Those are my ones that I use often. Too many languages doing the same things. Yeah, there are a lot of competing languages, a lot of crossover. Hello, Stef. I'm looking into purchasing your freelance course. I don't feel confident enough to start doing so. Well, that's the point you get the freelancer course, because it's going to teach you how. Well, I'm going to do a little shameless promotion, but it's going to be educational. If you look here, let me just get this out of the way here. The 4 big things this is what you're going to learn. The 4 things not to do: how to communicate with clients, how to get your first client. Learn to earn 4 or 5 times more money than the average developer. Learn how to get paid. Learn, do you charge by the project? Do you charge by the hour? What will the clients want? Managing extra requirements. How do you charge for them? When are you good enough to quit your job and start freelancing? What are the character traits of a freelancer? These are just some of the questions I cover in the course. You get templates as well. You get the website project assessment email template, initial client proposal template, contract template, invoice template. This might be worth the price of the course itself. The time tracker spreadsheet. When you crack that open, it's going to be like an aha moment. It's going to be, oh my God. It's going to reveal so much about how to manage products. So just jump in, man. Just jump in. Let me get out of here. All right. I think I'm going to be wrapping this up. An hour and 15 minutes. My voice is getting... Uzbekistan. Wow, very cool. All over the world, man. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Stef, I wanted to ask you what camera lens you are using. Keep up the great content. I am using a C300 Mark III from Canon. It's a professional camera. That's why the video looks pretty good. I hope that helps. It's overkill, by the way. You can get a very good picture if you know lighting without having to use this camera. What are your thoughts on Rust and its potential to take over from C? I couldn't say. You got to plug. You got to plug, man. It's the way of life. Dear Wizard, how much can you bench press? I can bench press my own weight once. That's it. I'm not in the old shape I used to be. Hello from Appalachia. I'm beginning to teach myself code to start my own business and create opportunities and cool projects. I just discovered your channel and it is 100% golden content. Thank you. Well, Mr. App Code Mine, welcome to the stream and thanks for letting me know. And just keep working on it, dude. Cheers from Greece. Your advice is highly appreciated. No problem. Amen. Love from Nigeria. Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Right back at you. All right. Hello. Hey from Portugal. I'm going to be winding this up now, guys. Hour and 17 minutes. Let's see if I'll try to get more and more questions. Yeah, exactly. I did a lot of coding in the past, but at some point you have to make a decision whether you're going to be a coder or a manager. Stef, have a great evening. Gave it a thumbs up. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for joining the stream, guys. I'm going to be signing off. Drink for you guys. I'll leave the stream going for a few minutes. So if you guys want to wrap up some conversations, please give me a thumbs up if you've liked the stream. And I'll leave my ASMR main video. I shot this about a year or so ago, from Cape Elizabeth, Maine. It's a very relaxing video. So thanks for joining the stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk soon.